Visit licensureexams.com and try our samples completely free of charge. Hey everyone from licensureexams.com. Welcome to another great episode of our podcast. I'm your host, Stacy, and I'm excited to be here with my co-host, Dr. Linton Hutchinson. What's up, Linton?
Hey, everybody. Today's episode will cover a study strategy you absolutely have to use to remember those golden nuggets, those precious tidbits, and priceless crumbs of knowledge so that they will be on the tip of your tongue when you sit down to take your exam.
Okay, so the million-dollar question we often hear from students is something like, this is insane. There's just too much to learn for the exam. How on earth am I going to remember it all? Does this sound familiar?
Yep, it sounds familiar, but you nailed it, Stacy. The exam is like a bottomless pit of information. But guess what? There's a way to keep it all straight in your head. Okay, let's talk about chunking, which is the handy tool that you need to use when you study for this exam. The underlying principle is that your working memory can only hold a limited amount of information. Essentially, chunking is a way of breaking down huge amounts of information into smaller, manageable parts or chunks. This makes it possible for your brain to encode and finally retrieve the information that you're going to need for the exam.
Exactly. And the idea of chunking might sound new to you, but I bet that you already use it. So, like when I'm racing out the door, my brain is all over the place. I need to turn off the lights, put on my shoes, grab my phone, my wallet, my keys, maybe a jacket, because hello, Michigan weather is unpredictable, and finally lock up. So instead of freaking out, I mentally group these tasks into two piles. There's the house lockdown pile and the grab and go pile. And I just need to remember one thing from each group, and then the rest follows.
Well, if you'd stayed in Florida, that wouldn't have been a problem there, Stacy.
No, but the hurricanes, Linton, the
Okay,
hurricanes.
all right, okay. But I do the same thing, but my two categories are what do I want and what do I need? Try it next time you leave your house to go out on your arduous day doing therapy. Although, Stacy, you could eliminate some of the hassle by ditching that massive purse you lug around, and your credit cards and crypto could go on your phone.
Hey. I like my purse. There's no way I'm parting with it. It's like my Mary Poppins bag. I fit everything into that baby.
Oh my gosh, I'll bet. But
All right.
seriously, chunking is sort of like mental superpower. It's something you have to really use for the exam. It's important to remember working memory, the part of our short-term memory which processes immediate, conscious, perceptual, and linguistic parts, can
Mm.
only handle how many? 7 items at a time. You actually trick your brain into handling more information than it typically is really designed to do. It's sort
Uh,
of like remembering phone numbers, right, Stace?
phone numbers, you say? Well,
Yeah.
not really. Oh yeah, okay. I forgot when you were in graduate school, the MI 7 1856 kind of phone numbers that only had 7 digits. Okay,
Uh,
sure, Linton. Phone numbers. Well, chunking is definitely a mental hack you need to start using while studying. The exam covers a broad spectrum of knowledge areas. I mean, it's this thing is loaded. So you've got anything from human development and diagnostic criteria to ethical guidelines and intervention strategies. And it's pretty daunting, all that information. So if you try to cram all of that into your brain without chunking, something has to give.
right. No kidding. It's sort of like when I go out and try to eat a dozen donuts from Dunkin' in one sitting. It just doesn't happen. You won't be able to remember the information that you just studied unless you use chunking.
Hmm.
That's why it's so essential. So instead of trying to stuff all that exam information into your brain at the same time, you'll be better off if you spend your time organizing the information into groups. Chunking is the only way you're going to find also the logical patterns that connect everything, and you'll remember the information that you need for the exam. The key is to study smarter. Got an example, Stace?
Well, that is pure gold there, Linton. Pure gold. So here's where chunking can come in handy. Let's say you're studying counseling theories. So you could divide those theories into three broad categories. And you've got the cognitive behavioral models,
Hmm.
you have psychodynamic approaches,
Right?
and humanistic therapies, right? Okay, so three broad categories. And under each category, you're going to list the specific theories that fall under that umbrella. So, for example, under cognitive behavioral. So, cognitive behavioral is not just CBT like we all know and love. It's actually got several models that relate to it. So, you might list mindfulness based cognitive therapy, rational emotive behavior therapy, acceptance and commitment therapy. On and on the list goes. And
Hmm.
those approaches all rely on a cognitive model for understanding emotional responses. That's what they all have in common. So by categorizing theories this way, you're not just dealing with a smaller set of information at a single time, but you're also creating a sort of organizational structure that's going to help with recall.
Stacy, you're a genius.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm here all
You
day.
really, it's just like where you were last week. It's like turning studying into a family reunion. Chunking is also the best friend when it comes to memorizing specific details like diagnostic criteria.
Mm.
Instead of overwhelming yourself with a gazillion symptoms, group them into categories and suddenly they become more like a friend than the enemy that you have to sit down and try to conquer. Ugh.
Or maybe a frenemy. I don't know.
Yeah,
Friend
I
and
like
enemy. Yeah,
I like
frenemy.
that
Hmm.
works.
Well, chunking is like the ultimate study buddy, and it reduces cognitive overload and makes the information more digestible and increases retention. And as a BOGO, you know, those Publix BOGOs that you love, Linton,
Hmm.
it's also helps with problem solving and comprehension, helping you recognize patterns, which are crucial when you're dissecting a case on the exam.
Well, there. So you have it. Notice we took this and chunked it into 7 different areas if you were paying
Hey,
attention. But by using the chunking strategy in your studying routine, you're going to set yourself up to pass and be successful with this exam. So thanks for joining us today. And until next time, remember,
it's in there.
it's in there.